Well, boys, it's time for the Chevy Apache 6x6 first drive and review. I have never driven this thing before. I just picked it up, and today we're going to find out if A, if it drives well at all, and B, how it does throughout a normal map, and C, whether or not we think it's worth the price of entry. So, with all of that being said, I'm going to start with the interior. I'm going to start with the cabin. It's actually a really, really gorgeous looking interior. I like the seats, I like the door panels, I like the steering wheel, I like the classic style dash. I like that you can see the little Chevy logo there in the dash. I like that you can see the keys. The keys actually also have a little Chevy emblem on them, like a little Chevy keychain. The dash is pretty basic, but I do like the fact that it is body color. So with all of that being said, let me get that mod menu out of the way. Let's jump to the exterior now. Now, we, interestingly enough, have an Oklahoma plate that says Apache on it, and as well, we have the 6x6 configuration, which looks to be from basically allowed by a stretched frame. And, ooh, you got some weathered, like, wood paneling in the bed as well, it seems. So let's fire this thing up, see what it sounds like. It's actually really quiet. It's very, very quiet. That's not because the game volume is low. My game volume is what it normally always is. That's just a really quiet truck. It's got some pep right off the bat. It's got some pep to it. It's not the slowest thing in the world, that's for sure. Second gear comes with a 5-speed factory. It's actually pretty good, like, around the corners, too. It didn't want to flip over or anything. It didn't want to get up on one side. Let's plunge her down into the mud just a little bit. See how she does down in there. Whoa! Oh, wow. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Yeah, I'm not even going to, like, really pursue much from going that way. I'm going to back up, and I'm going to go to the garage, and we're going to see what kind of upgrades this thing has available to it. But I also want to see what kind of trailers we're looking at. Gosh, this thing is such a quiet truck. It has very little engine noise to it. There we go. So note to self, in deep mud, these stock tires are not great. How fast is it in high? Pretty good? Pretty good. I mean, it's not slow. It's definitely not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot slower than that, but it's actually pretty quick in high. I mean, pretty admirably quick. Now, let's also check and see what kind of trailers it can use, because trailers are always a big thing for me. And also, can it carry any cargo in that bed? I doubt it, but yeah, no. Nope. No, sir, it cannot. What about the trailer store? Really? No, are you serious? Maybe we have to install a hitch, but that's a little off-putting. That's a little off-putting, considering the fact that, especially that this is a premium truck. Now, that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, is the fact that this is a premium truck. This is not a season pass included truck, right? This truck is, I believe in the US, it's like $499. So it's either $399 or $499, but it's one of those things where, like, you kind of think to yourself, okay, so we have the AAT 6V4044, the HET 6V50, and the 8V52 Custom, which we're going to go for that. We're going to go for, like, a fully built spec. We have stock, freeway, and SnowRunner box, which I'll probably end up doing the SnowRunner box because we're going to take it into the mud anyway to test it. We've got one suspension option, and we've got, wow, one tire size option. So all-terrains, we got AS1s, AS2s, and AS3s. We've got 44-inch off-road TO1s, which are kind of an old-school style tread. We have the MS1s, which are going to be your sort of mud tires, and we have the chained CS1s. So I'm going to go with the MS1s, and then winch-wise, we've got Autonomous Scout, which we're definitely going to do. I mean, obviously, we have all the other normal Scout options, but Autonomous Scout and trunk repair supplies, because honestly, if you're using this out in the field, you're probably going to be using the roof rack and the trunk repair supplies. But for the purpose of this test, I kind of think the roof rack is a little ugly, so I'm not going to run it. And snorkel-wise, we have the tall front-facing and short round cap. So I'm going to go with the tall front-facing. And let's see. So bumper-wise, holy cow, that's a big old rear bumper with mud flaps. So we got mud flaps, toe loop bumper, double pipe bumper, and stock bumper. I'm going to go with, like, the hardcore freaking mud flaps bumper, but I also like the toe loops bumper. It looks really good. Yeah, actually, I'm going to go with that. Rooftop, we got an external horn, we got dual horns, fog lights, more fog lights, and an angled visor. The angled visor looks okay, but it's not fully my jam. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about the way that lines up. I mean, it's okay, but that's a little iffy. I like that, though. The Hunter bumper is always a highlight of mine, for sure. Whoa, the heavy-duty pipe is a beast, but I think the Hunter definitely takes the cake for me. Yeah, definitely going to go with the Hunter. And the angled, little weird, not going to lie. Now, wheels-wise, we got Apache wheels, and that is it. We also have so we have a special paint job as well as a full color spectrum of your general colors, and we also have some multi-tone paint jobs down here at the bottom. Not gonna lie, I think this purple is kind of like offbeat and quirky, and so is the blue. It kind of accents that classic style, and so I think you can't really go wrong with any of these dual tone paint jobs. I think they're all going to be good for you, per se, but I'm going to go with that classic orange, kind of stick with that. Well, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go, actually, with the blue. I know the blue is a little different, it's a little odd, but we could we'll throw beans in there. Hearts, as you guys know, and let's see. We'll do the Freedom Bird, there we go. Bald Eagles. All right, so now that we've got this thing fully set up with the big engine, the mud tires, everything built up and good to go, let's take it out for some proper stress testing and see what it's like. All right. So I could see this thing definitely being used as a scout in terms of... so it is front-wheel drive. Okay, so even though you have a full-on, like, 6x6 deal, when you're not locked into all-wheel drive, it is a front-wheel drive truck. Yet again, very weird. The Apache in MudRunner was also front-wheel drive, but it's always odd seeing a truck, like, pulling from the front wheels. Like, you don't really ever expect it, and it's not something where I would go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit of an odd thing. But whenever I look at it and I see that it's front-wheel drive, it kind of reminds me that, like, yeah, there are some odd configurations out there in the truck world, you know? Some odd configurations and some things that may not always make sense, you know? Once you lock it into all-wheel drive, though, I mean, diff lock is always on, so you never have to worry about that. And I feel like this truck would actually probably be a really good candidate for a Mandra because you have the chain tires as an option, and you can run all over the place locked in all-wheel drive. Don't have to worry about the diffs because they're locked all the time, and you just run around and do just about whatever you want. The only thing that you're going to run into in terms of problems is the fact that you don't have the ability to pull trailers. But, wow, the climbing ability, though. The climbing ability is wild for a stock in-game truck. That's impressive. It just, like, basically walked its way right up that entire hill. The way it, like, gets up and goes. Even with the SnowRunner gearbox, it's pretty quick in automatic mode. I mean, when it gets all the way up to 4th gear, she ain't slow. And Beans is right there front and center. I do like that. I do like how Beans is, like, chilling right there at the front of the truck. I love that. All right, we're going to throw it in high, do some proper mudding, see how it does there. It's starting to spin, and that doesn't bode well for it, especially because of the fact that we're on a 44-inch, like, true mud tire. We're not on an all-terrain or anything that would normally be compromised in the mud. It's, I mean, it's doing fine, but I feel like it's spinning more than it needs to. Let's take it down into the water. I mean, again, it's not bad. It's never been, like, bad. It's just kind of one of those things where I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, so no change in speed between high and low plus. That kind of tells me everything I need to know right there, especially because of the fact that we were doing that in the shallow mud. Low one is going to be, or not even low one, but like just standard low. Standard low is going to be your gear of choice in any sort of like medium to more moderate depth mud. And when it gets into the deeper stuff, you may be stuck in low minus. I mean, that might just be the name of the game, and that might just be where you end up being stuck. And that's kind of unfortunate, but it's going to be, I think, the name of the game with this truck, and it might be just what you have to deal with. Which I'm not saying, you know, you have to deal with it in terms of it being a bad truck. I'm just saying, you know, you have to deal with it in terms of that's just what this truck demands from you as a driver. It's definitely an interesting thing, and I think that I keep going back to the price of entry, right? Because I think that there's a big debate right now with people going, well, this wasn't included in the season pass, and so it's like, it's scummy, and it's a grab, and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm like, I mean, I don't know. That's a hard one. I mean, I know that there are people that are instantly jumping on the train of like, oh, it's scummy, oh, it's a grab, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to see what they do in the future, right? So I'm going to reserve my judgment until we see more trucks, right? So if this is an outlier, then I get that, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you think it's worth the price of entry. But if we start seeing, like, every truck be, like, you know, a few dollars to get, like, that's a little bit of a different thing. So I don't know if it's going to go one way or the other. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on that. I would love to know how you guys are feeling about that, because I'm sure it's going to be an interesting discussion, because I've seen a lot of different opinions all over the community about it, and I would really love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, in sections like this, it seems like it's actually pretty good, basically because of the fact that it's really hard for you to high center it, because the front axle and the middle axle are fairly close together, so you have effectively you have a very short wheelbase there, and then you have another axle right behind that's also really, really close, so you have a very low chance of high centering, even when you attack something like this head on, straight on. And you don't really ever have to worry. You just go straight through. And to be fair, I mean, that is a really nice feature to have. It's a really nice thing. But at the same time, I always look at this truck and I'm like, even ever since it sort of got, like, quote-unquote leaked, I always look at this truck and I go, where did the idea for that come from? You know what I mean? Where did the idea for a Chevy Apache 6x6 come into play? I mean, and not that there's anything wrong with the idea of a Chevy 6x6 or Chevy Apache 6x6, but I'm like, out of all the trucks, even classic trucks, out of all the trucks in the world, how did you end up finding this guy? Like, and I get, you know, if you actually Google Chevy Apache 6x6, you'll find pictures of one from, I believe, a Canadian, like, lumber truck show or something, and it was sort of like a one-off build, and it was built on, I believe, like, it was built on some kind of military truck frame, something similar to a deuce and a half. But let's take it off the jump, see what it does. Come on. Put neutral so it goes faster. Come on. Go. Not very far. Yeah, I mean, it was tapped out in fourth gear really, really quickly, so that's why I put it in neutral to sort of see if I could gain any more speed off of the gravity, the force of gravity, but it's a good truck. I have to admit, it's a really, really good truck. Now, is it worth the price of entry? It's hard to say, right? I mean, the fact that it's a really unique vehicle kind of leads me to say yes, but the fact that it doesn't have the ability to pull trailers kind of starts to lead me in the other direction. So I don't really fully know right now if I would say it's worth the price of entry. And in terms of this sort of like DLC model, we'll have to see if they do it again before I kind of develop an opinion on whether it's sort of a grab, as it were. I don't think it is. I'm going to hold out and assume that we're going to see a lot more trucks in updates themselves and not just a separate DLC, but purely as a truck, I like it a lot. I don't like the fact that it can't pull trailers, though. But with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time.